Hello, everybody. We have a great project today. If you have a water dog, what this is a training stick or just a toy that you can go down with your dog and throw in the water. There's my dog there. This is the prototype. We made some adjustments to it, so follow along, and I'll show you the adjustments. So the first thing I'm going to need to do is mount this on the lathe, and this is a full 2" by 2" by 18" long cedar. And I've made sure that it's clear and there's no knots in it because I don't want it to break. Or, if you have a piece that has a select tight knot in it, that would work as well. So I'm just mounting that in the drive in, and then I'll just bring the tailstock into it. And I should have made a little hole divot, but I didn't. I just made a pencil mark there. So I'll just find that and then bring it into it and then lock it up. And once I get it locked up, I can continue. There we go. And when you're using lace, make sure you follow all the safety procedures and everything. What I'm not showing you on, I've got a full face shield that I use whenever I'm turning. And then we'll just check for clearances here and make sure that's right. And I'm using a 3/4 inch spindle gouge, and I'll just round that off. And this is just taking off the sharp edges. What we want to do is get to the cylinder and get it all the way down. It doesn't have to be real smooth either. And if you don't have a lathe, if you have a drill press, you can do it on a drill press, or you can even mount the end on a stationary drill and mount it to your bench and make it round. Or if you're, or you can go down to your local store and get an 1.5" of doweling. They probably don't have softwood; they'll have hardwood, which would be fine as well. But I'm trying to get it down to 1.5", and there it is. It seems relatively smooth on the top. And once I get this down, then I'll make a mark on the end. It's not imperative that this is exactly 1.5". It's just trying to get it to a nice cylinder. So we'll be wrapping this in rope. There you go. I'll just give it a measure mark. And here's the PVC that I'll be putting on the end. Like I said, from the prototypes that we did and from the other ones we've done, we found that my dog and other dogs, I've given them away to other people, they like to chew the ends of the sticks. So what I've done is put a 3" piece of PVC on both ends, and that's what I'm making now. So, and we'll just turn that down to size. So we slide it on, and it doesn't have to be real tight, because as soon as it hits the water, it's going to swell, and I'll be locking it on as well. So it was important when I was turning these and designing them, building them, that there's no screws and no nails in them, or any fasteners anyway that can hurt the dog. And I wanted to make them soft to the mouth. There we go. There's just a little bit of clearance there. And I'll just bring that down size. And like I said, these are 3 inches. And then I'll flip it from end to end. And I'll do a 3" piece on both ends. Just a bit tight, so I'll bring it down a little bit more. Now you notice with the cedar, when you're turning cedar, it likes to be turned quite fast. These are some cutoffs that we've had in the shop, so they're quite dry, which is nice for turning. But cedar doesn't usually like to turn too well. Here I am just marking the other end, and you can see that I've got the opposite end done. And we'll do the same thing. We'll just turn this into a cylinder. And just make a 3-inch mark and make a little transition there, just a little V groove. And that's basically just so I know where to go with my PVC channel. And I'll be doing the same process. There we are back at the bench. You can see I've made a rolling pin. And for the beginning and the end, what I'm going to do is put in a spliced loop. I'll just splice that in. I'll just make a mark where I want to go to on the loop in the rope. And I've stripped off about 6 inches. And then I'll just splice that in. If you don't know how to do a splice, you can do a knot, or you can go online. There's a YouTube that's called Why Not, and he's really good at showing you how to tie knots and splices and everything. So I'm just burning the ends here, just to stop them from fraying apart, and then I'll end up putting some tape on them. And so there's my size of the loop. And what you want to do is just give your rope sort of a bang on the table, and you'll naturally find out what's the center one, and then the right and the left. And whenever I'm starting, I always start with my center one. You can see I've opened it up and then found where it goes. And then with the splicing, and then the second one will go over the top of it. And then the third one that you put in will go the opposite way. And then after that, they'll all follow suit and go around. But if you're unfamiliar to splicing, it's not that hard. Watch some videos. This isn't a video on splicing, but... And I'm just showing you here. Whenever you do, you can actually see I've already started up on the splicing and pulled it tight. Whenever you're wrapping your ropes around, you don't want to wrap on your loose ends. You always want to wrap on the main rope coming down, and so that as it pulls taut, it's going to tighten up on the splices. And I'll just continue to do my wraps all the way in through, and then that'll be a nice tight loop, so this is not going to come apart. And the rope I use, if you notice the colored rope, it's actually a rope that's used for fish traps and prawn traps, and I get it given to me whenever they think that it's done its time. So this is a good reuse project, using up rope that would have been tossed in the landfill. So, and it's a nice stiff rope. So this is a 1/2 inch that I'm using, and it's done its time in C, so we're going to repurpose it. I'll just follow all the way through and make sure that my splice is all in nice and tight and nice and neat looking, and then I'll cut it off. So I've gone up about 7 splices. And you always want to give yourself more lines so that you can pull it taut. And there's a splice there, if you can see, it's nice and tight. And that will be the end. That'll be the throwing handle. I'll just cut that off, and then I'll wrap it with some tape. You know, never pull a knife towards you. we'll just give that a burn so it's not going to, and if you're burning nylon rope, don't touch it trying to push it in. I'll use a screwdriver, or what's great is popsicle sticks. And I'll just push that into it while it's nice and soft. But it's molting hot. There you go. Nice and neat. Now proceed to drill my holes. And you can see where the splice would be coming inside. What I'm doing here is, so I've got about a 250-foot roll on the ground here, and I don't need all that, and I have to start at the end. So I'm wrapping it all the way around the cylinder, and then I can determine how much rope I need, and then I add about a foot, and then I cut it off. So you can see the ends here, how the PVC pipe slides on. And when you're, whenever I was doing this, I found that what works good is a wood clamps. You can just set them apart and lay this in, brings it up off the bench and stops it from rolling about. So the end here, I'm using a 1/2-inch drill bit, and I'm just drilling from the end. And now I'm going to drill up on a 45-degree angle down to meet that hole. And I'll just drill through, and this would be done on both ends the same way. And make sure to put on my cap on the end. And you can see I have to pull that rope all the way through. And you'll see that I've drilled 3 holes evenly apart all the way along. And that's so I can do a, just trying to get this in as tight as I can. There it is. There's a nice loop to grab and throw. Now I'll just wrap this all the way around the cylinder until I get to the first hole. And if you can, I'm trying to keep it tight, but as I get it in, I'll go to the top and then bring everything nice and taut all the way down. And I just bring the rope right to the edge of the hole, and then bring it through. And what I found with this is you don't have to worry about the rope unwinding off of the cylinder. The piece of wood, like I said, I didn't want to use any glue, and I didn't want to use any nails or screws where the dog would be biting. I'm trying to keep all the contaminants off this. There, so we've came all the way down. And now it's nice and tight. As you can see, the 3 winds. And then we'll go down through the hole. And what I made is when I did this hole too, I actually from the one on the other side, I actually made a small trench so the rope will lay down flat into it, and then I'll pull it through. So this is the bottom of the throwing stick. And I've taped on a there we go. We'll just get that pulled through. Slide the PVC on it and line it up with my hole all the way through. And make sure it's tight again. I'm using 3/8 dowels here to lock in the PVC. Just putting a little bit of glue on them. And what I have is 1/4 inch dowel here for the ends, and just put a little bit of glue on it here, and I'll tap that in. And once it hits the water and gets wet, the wood will expand and keep that really tight. But I just put a little bit of glue on it, and I'll hammer that all the way down through the hole. And what this will do will clinch the rope inside of the hole. And now just put a little bit of glue on the pins here. And this only goes to the rope. And then I'll cut it off and then turn around and do the opposite side. Just use a little Japanese cutoff saw. And there we are. We've got the dowels on both ends. And I'm just doing a double loop knot here on this rope. So there'll just be two wraps in a knot. Then I'll pull it taut and then cut it off. And what I found with this is I'll use a super glue or CA glue, and that will stop the rope from sliding apart. So I use the thick, and then I can pull it nice and tight. And you can make this as long as you want. I like it about 1 inch, so there it is there. And I'll just put that on the knot, and then I'll and on the sides, and then I'll spray it with an exhilarator, and that will harden it up right away. And then I'll cut off the access on the ends and just give it a bit of a torch, a burn. There it is, and I'll just flatten that down onto the top. So there's our stick. You can see with a nice throwing handle, PVC in both ends, and the rope in between. So we're going to take it for a water test. And there she is, and sure enough, she won't grab the PVC, and she'll just grab the rope, and she won't. That'll stop her from gnawing on it. And you can see how far I can throw it out. So I hope you enjoy these videos. If you're wondering where we're at on the east side of Vancouver Island. And it's a beautiful day at the beach. It's no waves, nice and calm. And the dog's going to enjoy herself out here. And this is a really good training stick. She'll bring this and bring it right back to us and drop it and head around and go back out in the water. There she is. We're waiting for the throw. And it has high visibility and it floats well, and it's good for the environment. You were using up the pieces of wood I use are end cuts, and I've cut them down to size. So if you've enjoyed these videos, please subscribe. It helps the channel a lot and keeps us still making stuff and for your entertainment. And if you have any questions about this or anything you'd like to add to it, please send it along. I'll just let you watch the dog do some retrieving here. And at the end of the stick, I can throw these out around 75, 80 feet. You're wondering how far. So there she is with one of the previous ones. You can see she's gnawing on the ends. There she is there. Thank you very much for watching.